Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today I want to talk about fear, preparedness, and fear mongering. So let's get to it. So I was watching a channel the other day that I really have a lot of respect for, and for that reason I'm not going to name them, because no matter how much credit I give them, there's still going to be people who take what I say and take it the wrong way and go over and troll that person, and that's not what I want. But they had made a video about why fear is an inherently bad trait and why there's a lot of fear mongering and preparedness. And I want to talk about fear because, if anything, I think that fear is an essential emotion. In fact, fear is like the essence emotion of survival. It's like the first emotion that you need in order to survive. Sensing out threats in the environment is one of the most fundamental emotions that emerges for any species in order to evolve, to be aware of where's the threats in the environment. Because we live in such a domesticated world, a lot of those threats have been mitigated and controlled by various safety features and padding on all the stuff we use, because we live in such a standardized, regulated society, which has its benefits. I'm not knocking it. We don't really have to be fearful anymore to survive. You can just basically live carefree for the most part, and technology and society will come together and ensure that you don't die. However, you still do need a little bit of fear. Otherwise, you're going to get clipped by a car when you walk out willy-nilly into traffic. Now, there's that old saying, if it bleeds, it leads. And it's a saying in the media. The media uses drama, sensation, and of course, fear or excitement-inducing titles in order to get clicks. The thing with that, though, is that if you look at what's actually popular, what captures 99% of the world's attention, it's not "it bleeds, it leads" fear-mongering headlines. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's distraction, it's memes, it's entertainment. If you go on the trending page right now, you're going to find that it's all distraction. That's because the majority of people are not captivated by fear-mongering. Fear-mongering is not an effective mode of commerce and marketing. Not nearly as much as people think, because if it was, I guarantee you that entire trending page would be full of shocking fear-mongering videos. But it's not. Now, in terms of people who say that I'm just out to sell stuff, there were many years before I ever had a store, before this channel was even monetized, that I just did this because I liked making videos. I just liked prepping. I thought it was important, and the learning process grabbed my attention, and I found it interesting. It just so happened that when you love something, when you do it with a passion, there's monetary benefits to that come along. Now, I get offered all the time on this channel by various companies that, in my opinion, have very little relation to the channel. Whether that's a video game company like Raid Shadow Legends or NordVPN. These companies come to me all the time offering me a few $1,000s to mention their name in a video, and I turn it down. When I come on the channel and I make a video about Jace Case Medical or Silky Saws or whatever other product that I show, it's because I actually use that product and I believe in that product. Now, there have been some more fringe novelty products that I've reviewed over the years that didn't really work out as well in the long term, but for the most part, I'm only selling stuff that I'm using. I see a lot of athletes and various people taking these sponsorships from products and companies that I know they don't use, I know they don't believe in, but they just take it for a paycheck. And you know what? I'm not even throwing shade at that. It's a free market. Do what you want. Leave it up to people to make the decision. If Anderson Silva or Conor McGregor wants to take the multi-million-dollar Burger King sponsorship, what do I care? I'm not going to go and protest them and write stupid comments on their channel. It's a free market. It's a free world. I would rather they have the freedom to do that than them be censored and not able to do that at all, if that makes any sense. But for myself personally, I cannot passionately read a scripted commercial that a company pays me to do on the channel. It just doesn't feel right. Now, there's a lot of creators, even in this space, survival preparedness, that do that. And I totally understand why they would do that. You know, I mean, making YouTube videos is a tough gig, man. It's a lot harder than just turning on a camera and filming. You have to brainstorm the ideas. You have to get all the props together. You have to go and you do the thing, and then you shoot it, and then you edit it, then you upload it, you annotate it, you answer comments, and then you gotta wake up and do it all again the next day. Not saying that working a 16-hour shift driving an Uber or a taxi is any easier, but I'm just saying that it's not as easy as a lot of people think. And then there's the stress of, you know, not knowing, the uphill battle with the algorithm and all the rest. So I can understand why other YouTubers want to take those sponsorships. Getting back to the whole fear-mongering thing, I think people in this community are hyper attentive to those fear-mongering titles because we're in a survival mindset. So if I was to use the trendy teeny bopper titles of the trending page on my channel, it wouldn't go over well, because there's always going to be that 1 in 100 people who come on the channel and say, this title is fear-mongering, clickbait, and all the rest. And then I have to ask myself, where was this person on all the other videos that we do that don't have those titles? And why did they click on that title anyways? What was it about the title that they wanted to know more about? Maybe there was some mechanism, or maybe it's important, you know, the motivation to go and watch that video. Maybe there was something important about that. Anyways, I just think that the charge of fear-mongering as a mechanism of making money, it's not the dominant mode of making money. The best way to make money on YouTube is to do entertainment videos, do challenges. I know the recipe to do it. You know, basically I could go and buy a hydraulic press, and I could just make videos of me squishing stuff all day. I could start a channel running over things with a vehicle. You know, I mean, stupid things like that, cutting things with a hot knife. You name it, the money is not in what we talk about on this channel. You always have to be worried about what you say, because the audience that we're talking to also can be passionate about many other issues. And so not to provoke anybody to do anything stupid, you know, we have to kind of watch what we say. So on the one hand, we have the algorithm. We're going against the grain of society because society is not interested in preparedness. Society says, don't be fearful at all, just go out and play. So this whole stigma of fear being a bad thing is something that we need to revisit. If you really look at what fundamentally binds our society together, the only reason why you can go to sleep at night is because there's a bunch of nuclear warheads buried in a ground somewhere, because some people were so fearful of what the outcomes would be. They knew about the existential threat of having our country overrun by another tyrannical, totalitarian country, that they decided to put these missiles in the ground so that we could be carefree. Fear is the fundamental foundation for society. Like it's the first thing that has to be in place, the security aspect, before we can frolic and play and pretend like there's no threats in the world. So fear is a vital emotion. You need it, honor it, don't let it completely consume you where you're frantically going through the day and annoying the hell out of all your friends and acquaintances with conspiracy talk and this and that. It just means that you're mindful of the fact that we are living organisms and we require a certain set of conditions in order to survive. And if those conditions aren't there, you are going to need to have a plan for how to act in those situations. Like, you really have to be dead in a way to not be fearful. Because to not be fearful, then you're kind of not alive, because that is the core, like that is like every single organism, whether it's a bacteria or a tadpole or a fish or a deer, whatever it is, they're all operating on that threat detection mode. Now you could say, yeah, we're more civilized and we're trying to get away from that. And that's true, but we're not quite in the clear yet. Okay, we got a long way to go before our animal nature is not a factor anymore. and before we have to worry about any threats. We're technologically, we're a ways away from that. Might get there someday where technology just makes a abundant cornucopia and we have infinite energy and we don't have to worry about anything. But right now, there are still threats that exist in the world. And what I'm trying to say is that the powers that be they the military or the government, the majority of the capital and resources go towards enterprises that are there to protect us from things going wrong. A lot of people have just offloaded that responsibility onto the grid. I don't think if you were to go back like 1,000 years and you were to say the word fear-mongering, I don't think it would make sense to people, because people would just know, like, yeah, you should be afraid of the raiders that, you know, are going to get you if you're outside the castle walls. I mean, duh, you know. Nowadays, you almost have to rationalize it to people. You should be afraid of starving to death if you don't stockpile stuff for the winter. You know what I'm saying, guys? So fear is good. It's good to be fearful. It's just not good to be overly paranoid. Where prepping probably gets a little carried away is there's people who are preparing specifically for these very, very unlikely scenarios to occur. So like if you base your entire existence around preparing for an electromagnetic pulse and you're wrapping all of your electronics constantly in a Faraday cage and you can never enjoy them, it's kind of like one of those people who wraps all their furniture in plastic. You never really get to truly indulge in the features of those items. Then that to me is a little overboard. But still, fundamentally, it's good to have a plan for if something like that were to happen, but it just shouldn't govern your entire day 24/7. We wouldn't have fear as an emotion if it didn't serve us in some way, which is why it's, you know, a part of our physiology. In the same way, we live in a very soft society nowadays where a lot of people don't want any critical feedback, whether it's shaming somebody, that's what it's called, when really it's just giving them critical feedback on things that they probably shouldn't be doing. No matter what the emotion, there's a lot of emotions that are now taboo within society. For whatever reason, I guess it's politically incorrect to be fearful of certain things. It's politically incorrect to shame people for certain life choices that they make that are probably counterproductive, and that under most historical circumstances, you know, people would give them a slap upside the head and be like, what the hell are you doing to yourself, you know? But you can't do that anymore because you want to protect the person. You don't want to hurt their feelings, when in reality, that person is going to do more harm to themselves because you didn't assertively tell them what they perhaps needed to hear. Or not needed to hear, but you didn't tell them the truth. Something to keep in mind, guys, you know, you can call me a fearmonger if you want. I couldn't make these videos if I didn't believe what I was saying, put it that way. Then I would be somebody who was being disingenuous because I would be selling you something that I didn't believe. You know, in the same spirit of me not taking sponsorships with companies that I don't feel are relevant to my viewers, that's the same way. And for me, I'm not a good liar, I'm not a good bargainer, I'm not a good negotiator. I'm terrible at it, okay? Which is why I have to work harder. The only reason why I have some success with CanadianPreparedness.com is because I only sell the stuff that I personally use, and when people see me talk about it, they can tell that that I believe in the product. And there's a big difference in that and some guy just reading a script. So anyways, maybe that sheds a bit of light. Those are my thoughts on the emotion of fear. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.